Hey guys, it's Liv here, bringing you guys a discussion video for a very interesting topic in my opinion. Today we're going to be breaking down the Riddler's current hints at the HISUIAN Pokemon and the other just new Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the Riddler refers to someone back in 2017, back when Sun and Moon was releasing, or maybe it's 2018, but it was when Sun and Moon was releasing, and they printed out basically like a calendar, and they were referred to as the Chinese Riddler. And it was like a calendar pretty much of different Pokemon and new Alolan forms and all that. And it was very, very like cryptic for what would be coming in the Sun and Moon games. And they were pretty spot on for a lot of stuff. So in this hint, this is going to be an image that they made of 12 different things to expect in the Legends Arceus games. And I'm only covering it because number 2, which hints at the HISUIAN Zoroark, and I'll get into that when we get to it, it refers to it, and it was pretty accurate, and knowing in hindsight, it could not have fit better, to be honest. There was really not a better image, at least to my understanding of the Pokemon, that could have fit this image better. Well, that could have fit that Pokemon better, I should say. So we're going to be going over that today. So hopefully you guys enjoy. I was going to do a live today, but I tried laddering and I lost several games in a row, and I realized I'm just on tilt from having laddered up enough to get to a competitive rating, and then I just started tilting really hard. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video instead. I know it's not what I promised, but it should still be fun. If you do enjoy it, leave a like below, subscribe if you're new. As I clearly hope that was obvious, this is a very spoiler heavy video. I'm going to try not throw anything too spoiler heavy in the thumbnail, but I make zero promises on that. With that said, though, we are going to be going through today the riddles, and I'm going to go over my predictions. I went through with the BBL server. Shout out to the BBL server. I'm going to link to them as well as my personal Discord down below if you guys want to join that, or just, as I said, follow Twitter, etc., etc. And then you guys can join in the fun. So we went through it with the BBL server, and they had a lot of interesting ideas, and I think I formed a really strong set of opinions. So I'm going to go over my predictions in this video, and we're going to break them down. And we'll come back to this when the games come out, and we'll see how accurate I was on everything, because I do think that would be interesting as well. So with that said, though, this account, I'm not sure if it's the Riddler's actual account or not, but this account nonetheless, another leaker by the name of Eclipse_TT was backing up, and they've been pretty spot on with everything as well, this gen, and as well for the Sword and Shield games. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff backing that, especially the fact of how deep they really were with all their hints for a lot of these things, that some of them just kind of are really obvious, but especially if you go through everything, there's a lot of really deeper meaning, and it does line up with a lot of things that, at least on paper, seem to match with the images. So we're going to go over it. Hopefully you guys do enjoy, though. And yeah, we're going to have the image as well kept in the top left corner, so when we scroll through the replies, because the Riddler did put this all in the replies, we can still have it on screen to reference. So basically, though, they tweeted this out in response to Centro stealing the image and trying to take credit for it, because Centro really did not know what they were talking about. If you guys don't know, Centro is a person who reports on a lot of stuff, but takes the stuff from other sources, such as the Chinese Riddler. They don't really know much about what they're talking about. They just say what they feel like, I guess, is the best way to put it. But regardless, though, we're going to go over starting with number 1. They did not tweet these in order, by the way, or if they did tweet these in order, they are not in order for the replies. So we're going to go over that just in the order that they come up on the screen. So number 1, though, refers to a Yokai Watch character, and it says that her name is the key, and once you know, you will understand about the Pokemon. So basically, though, I did look up the name. Shoutouts to the Yokai Watch wiki. I did not even know what this character's name was, but I did know it from someone in the BBL server as well mentioning it. They said that the name was like Demona or something. I forget specifically, but regardless, so I did reverse image search, and I found that the English name is Demona, and the Japanese name, which is most likely what the character, well, what the Riddler is referring to, is Hyakihime, which refers to 100 Demons Princess. So my guess is, because it was also mentioned in another tweet, either by the Riddler or Eclipse, I'm forgetting which, but both, again, have a lot of substance at this point, so I put my faith in it, that it was 1, 6, and 9 all refer to starters. And 6 is pretty obvious. I'm going to get into that very quickly when we get to 6. But it is very fucking obvious. I could tell you that myself just off first glance. I didn't even need this account to tell me that. It was pretty obvious. But number 1, my guess is if it has to refer to a starter, it is probably Hisui Samurott. Now, I'm assuming this is just a separate evolution, so it's not actually going to be a Hisuian form Samurott. But for the sake of it, I don't know the name of that Pokemon yet, so I'm just going to call it Hisui Samurott. But Hisui Samurai is my guess, and I'm predicting it to be a Water Ghost typing. I'll have a full condensed thing of all my predictions at the end, by the way, so if you guys do feel like going through that at the end and just skipping, there will be a whole chapter for all the predictions at once. But regardless, though, the reason I'm predicting that it is a Hisui Samurai, and I'm also predicting it's a Water Ghost typing, I think it fits better because of the fact that the wiki also talked about something with this yokai using ice magic. And I think it fits it a lot better with the water typing than a fire typing, if nothing else. So I do think that narrowing it down by process of elimination between a Typhlosion or a Samurai, it kind of has to be the Samurai. So my prediction for this was a Water Ghost type Hisui Samurai with Glaciate as the ability once it does transfer into mainline games. The reason being because of the ice magic, and also the figure looks more haunted in this image. So I figured that a Water Ghost typing still fits that, while of course also having the ice fit in there somewhere. So I think that's my personal prediction. I guess Ice Skills could potentially also fit as well. It'll probably obviously have Torrent for very blatant reasons as an ability, but my guess is on the hidden ability comes first, Glaciate, if nothing else. Number 2, before I continue the list, refers to the Hisuian Zoroark, as mentioned before. This is basically for anyone who really lived under a rock. Green hair guy in that picture is Zoro from One Piece, and it is referencing to the normal typing because Zoro has no Devil Fruit. For anyone who doesn't know, Devil Fruits are like the magical powers in One Piece. So it is referring to Zoro, who is a normal human being with no powers. He is just a swordsman, and the name Zoro sounds similar to Zoroark. Then the girl is Perona. She has a ghost-themed Devil Fruit, so that is where the ghost typing comes from. So the normal ghost Hisuian Zoroark. So that one, I think in hindsight, was very telegraphed, though that's something I'm sure that a lot of people probably weren't just thinking first in their minds. I feel like in hindsight, though, this again backs up the deeper meaning behind the thing and why I think Centro didn't really know what they were talking about, because it's not like they could have ever backed that up in a million years. So the next image that they refer to is number 5. They refer to this as the Lady Noble Pokemon. So my money for this was actually on Hisuian Lilligant. And this, I think, will be a separate Hisuian form, actually, and I think it's going to be based off of a Water Lily. Being either a Water Grass or a Water Bug typing, I think could fit. The biggest reason was because the code name for this was Swimsuit, so I think that still fits, and it was a lady Pokemon. So I think that the Lilligant does fit, because we haven't seen Lilligant in a trailer, and I think that a Water Lily type Pokemon would still fit pretty well. Also because the lady Pokemon does reference to a Reizu, who specifically is tasked with taking care of a certain lady Pokemon, and her band has like a greenish little band on it. So my guess is this has some sort of grass typing to it. And the only other Pokemon I can really think of that could fit maybe would be like a split Gardevoir evolution. However, we already have Gardevoir in the trailers. I believe Gardevoir was already on the confirmed Pokemon list, if I remember correctly. Now, I would have to double check that, of course, but I'm actually pulling it up right now on the side. So bear with me 1 second while I do confirm that. But I believe that Gardevoir was actually shown in the trailer already, so it really couldn't be that. If this is a new Pokemon, it cannot be that. However, Lilligant, as I said, has yet to be shown, and I really do think that could still fit because it is a female-only Pokemon. So yeah, I think number 5 is Hisuian Lilligant, and as I said, Water Grass or Water Bug, and I think that it will carry down to Petalil because it's evolving with a Sunstone right now. I don't think the Hisuian form would evolve with the Sunstone. I think it would be a Water Stone instead. And again, I do think it fits really well, personally, in my opinion. And the Water Lily theme would still fit with the grass typing and keep the green color scheme. Next up, on to number 8, a new variant. It said you could tell the type from it. So my guess is this is a pretty blatant pure steel type. Maybe it's like a steel rock type, but my guess is pretty blatantly a pure steel. Now, I was personally thinking that this hinted at like a slug, such as like maybe a Goodra, specifically because of Sliggoo. Other thing was Dunsparce. That was my pipe dream. However, someone actually did point out that it was probably Magcargo, and I think I buy into that a lot more. Like a pure steel Hisui form Magcargo. I think it could be really cool. It could give like another Johto Pokemon some spotlight, especially because Johto like hasn't really gotten a lot and didn't have a lot of Pokemon to begin with. And Johto already had Sinnoh ties anyway through Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I do think that the Hisuian Magcargo could actually fit pretty well here, and could be a pretty cool Pokemon in my opinion. Like just a pure steel type, maybe even like some sort of steel poison or steel grass or whatever, but my guess is it's probably going to be a steel type. Just a pure steel type. So yeah. Number 2, as I said, check out the recent official announcement. That was pretty blatantly the Zoroark. I did cover that when it came up just because I did want to mention that, but they did cover it here as well. Next up, a Japanese manga. What happened to her is the key. In fact, you must have seen seen it seen it earlier than you ever noticed. And I actually had to look on Reddit for this one. I will link to all the sources down below that I did use for this one, but oh my god, there was a lot of things I cross-referenced before making this video. So this one actually refers to a Reddit post. Well, it doesn't refer to a Reddit post, but I got the answer from it, and it's this Reddit post right here. And it refers to a manga called Esper Mommy from the 70s, and it's basically similar to Mob Psycho. In the manga, basically, what they're referring to, they think, is the slash on the neck, which could be leading, as this person says, that a psychic fighting Sneasel variant. And honestly, I couldn't really think of anything better than this. However, I do want to mention that I don't think it has to be psychic fighting. I think that the psychic typing has to stay. I think the fighting typing could also be either steel, rock, ice, or fighting. Biggest reason being, I think that they could just change it to a steel type, because the fact that it was like claw mark, and I think that could still fit because it could be referencing maybe like the fact that it was sharp or that blood has iron in it. I think that those could definitely fit. I think the rock typing could fit because of the fact that we did see an ice rock typing HISUIAN Sneasel, like, quote unquote leak or thing that the Riddler did quote about on another site. I'll link to that as well, but they did post about that specifically on some site. I couldn't even tell you what language it was in, but they did post about it there nonetheless. It was referencing fan art, so it might not be that, but the fan art did mention it as an ice rock typing, which is where I'm also getting the ice and the rock from. Also, Consido has a lot of, like, colder region in general, so I think the ice isn't too out there. But the fighting, I think, fits this because just, I know that, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly that Mob Psycho has, like, some sort of, like, action theme. Regardless, though, I don't really have anything to go against the fighting typing here, if nothing else. So I think that psychic fighting could be a thing. I do at least think it has to be a psychic typing, though, if it is the case. Anyway, that's really the only thing I sort of, like, stole prediction-wise from that. I do think there's really just nothing better I could think of. I didn't even know what the image was referencing to begin with. Number 3 refers to a new Pokemon post-game contents. I didn't really have anything to predict if this was a new Pokemon entirely. There was only so much I can give off of, especially if it's a post-game thing. It's probably a legendary. My guess is Fairy Flying, but I couldn't really tell you anything else other about this Pokemon. It probably has some sort of, like, love theme. Maybe it's, like, a breedable Pokemon for some reason that you get, like, through the daycare or something post-game. I couldn't really tell you, though. I have no predictions for that. No-brainer for number 4. This is referring to the Voltorb thing. This is one of the 2 things essentially I got right through lucky guessing. Though, looking at it, it's a Pokeball. There's only so much you can really think of there. My prediction on typing for this one was probably a pure grass or a pure rock typing. However, I could also see the argument for pure steel. I really don't think it's dual typing. However, if it is dual typing, I think it has to involve grass, if nothing else. Which, if it is a dual typing with grass, I could also see the rock or steel being more likely. However, I really don't think that either of those would be pure typings, but maybe rock could have a case. Let's see. So number 7 was the next one, and this says the kanji is the key to this one, and that only Japanese can get it when the Pokemon gets revealed. Apparently, this is in reference to something called the Pretender or something. I looked this up again. This was another thing that Reddit actually covered, and it refers to, basically, it's a mixture of the word Sabo, which is derived from the word cactus, and Pretender. Now, I will say, though, that this Reddit might have gotten the Pretender or the cactus part of that wrong, because I did ask my good pal Burgo, who speaks Portuguese pretty well as English, and he said that was not the word that they use, and he said that the word that they use actually was cactus. But again, maybe there's just other words. It could be just different dialects. I don't know for certain. But regardless, so at the very least, the Pretender part was also confirmed by the Eclipse Twitter. So I do put my faith in that. I think regardless, though, it was mentioned that it was not a part of the cactus thing. It was a part of the name. So the Sabo Tender still refers to the Pretender aspect. So my guess is that this is referring to the Sudowoodo. As this thing said, it was the other thing I stole from this Reddit post for sure. And it lines up because there was also huge rumors about a baby Pokemon getting a new HISUIAN thing. So my guess is that this is Sudowoodo. I think that's pretty on par. There's only so much that it could really be otherwise. Number 6. This is grass fighting Decidueye. I promise you it cannot be anything else. It's a buff fucking picture of Katori. Katori's literally referred to as a bird or has a bird theme in Love Live. I promise you this does not mean anything else. This one has to be grass fighting. I would literally bet hundreds on this. I promise you I would bet a bad amount of money on this one being a grass fighting Decidueye. Or if nothing else, it is a buff Decidueye with at least a grass typing still. But I think that it would be insanity for this not to be a grass fighting type. Again, this one I would almost certainly, if nothing else besides the Zoroark one, I would almost say that one is the only other one I would put genuine confirmation on at this point, assuming this is a real thing. Obviously, we do have to take it with a grain of salt because it's not technically confirmed, but like if this was the case, I would bet a bad amount of money on that being a grass-fighting Decidueye evolution, or Decidueye Hisuian form, I should say, or Decidueye Hisuian, or whatever you want to call it. Point is, it's the Hisuian evolution for Dartrix, grass-fighting. That would be my guess. Anyway, next up, number 9 is referring to a Japanese pun, and when you solve it, you know the type of one of the starters. I did look this up as well, actually, and this one basically referred to Beauty and Dazzling. Again, this was on the Reddit post. I'm going to link to this down below, but this referred to Moon and Moth, which is beautiful and dazzling, which is a reference to kanji, and beautiful and dazzling reference fairy typing. My prediction for this one referred to the Typhlosion, and Typhlosion I think will be the fire fairy typing, which would be really cool, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, part of that is me projecting onto this. It could very easily be a water fairy typing, and the yokai could be a fire ghost or whatever, or a fire dark, but part of me is just projecting onto my hopes of a fire fairy typing. I do think that if we are going to get one, though, it fits into this. And I think that, again, that Samurott, its Hisuian evolution split or whatever it is, will be fitting better with number 1 because of the ice thing than it would with Typhlosion. So I think with that in mind, I do put a lot of faith in this fairy typing thing for the potential fire fairy for a Hisuian Typhlosion. So that is going to be my personal stake there. I know that there are starter leaks that tweet otherwise. In fact, Eclipse actually covered these on another tweet. This one specifically references that oh yeah, I should mention that as well before I continue further. The reason I'm also saying that the Hisuian starters are probably going to be split off of their normal evolutions for Decidueye, Samurott, and Typhlosion is because this tweet right here, it's a recap of what Eclipse actually mentioned on a podcast they recorded, saying that the leftover Hisuian forms after Zoroark can be counted on one hand for the separate lines and 2 hands for all the Pokemon in the line between the pre-evolutions and the evolutions, which is why I'm specifically mentioning that I think that these are separate evolutions. But there was specifically something that they quoted from an account called Ball Guy, which they also said matched a lot of their sources, that did go over starter typings, and I don't know if I necessarily think that these are the specific types that I would put faith in, but they said it matched a lot of their sources, so we do obviously need to take that in mind, because again, this has been a fairly reliable account in general. So I'm really quick scrolling back. I do scroll a little bit up for this, but again, I'm going to link everything down below. This mentions grass fighting water dark and fire ghost. Now, ghost could also technically fit because it's like a night sort of time. However, I think that it doesn't really fit with the riddle as much, especially if the riddle is supposed to fit with the type of the Pokemon and the kanji was the hint. The water dark could still totally fit. I could totally see that over water ghost, and I might be eating my words here, but I do think that if Typhlosion ends up being a ghost, being not a ghost, that there's more hope for Samurott being one. And it says that it's only the final forms that are Hisui, which is again why I was saying Hisui, Samurott, and all that. But regardless, though, for the Japanese pun, I do think that because of that, it sort of discredits the potential for a fire ghost Typhlosion, which is why I'm personally putting faith in fire fairy. Now, again, I could definitely be wrong in this. I still think a fire fairy would fit, and I think it would be a cool new type, especially when they already did normal ghost. Maybe they're going to do another new type with the Hisui Typhlosion. Anyway, next is number 10. This Pokemon is basically the thing visually. Now, I'm not going to lie, I saw on the Reddit thing that they mentioned Mantine, and I geeked over that. I actually really low-key like Mantike. But sadly, though, I do think it's Avalugg. They have not shown Avalugg in a trailer. They actually have shown Mantine, Mantike, and even Octillery in trailers before. So I do think that this really discredits it. And the reason I say Octillery as well, because that means that there has to be a regular Remoraid as well. So it couldn't even be like some sort of like Hisui Remoraid plus Mantike thing or whatever. It kind of just discredits that whole thing in my opinion. So I do think it kind of has to be the Avalugg. I'm predicting for this one a Steel Ice Avalugg. Don't really think of anything else that it could be. The Hisuian Sudowoodo, by the way, because Sudowoodo I believe was already shown in a trailer. It has, so I was predicting that to be a separate Hisuian Sudowoodo evolution entirely, and I was thinking that would be rock or rock ground. I forgot to mention that. I do want to cover that right here. Anyway, on to the last couple hints. Well, actually, the very last hint. Number 12, it says you knew from the Thief. The Thief is referring to Centro, so it was referring to a Hisuian Ursaring evolution, a separate evolution for Ursaring, which would again fit with the theme because the 5 Hisuian forms would be referencing Voltorb. It would be referencing the Macargo, technically. It would be referencing number 11. It would be referencing So it'd be Voltorb. Well, for images, it'd be 4, 8, 10, 11, and then potentially 7 as well, if not maybe even 3. But regardless, though, it does fit in line nonetheless, because even if it's not 5, there's still 4 there, which you can still count on one hand. And then for the pre-evolutions, it would be like Bonsly, Bergmite, Slugma, and then Voltorb, so that does fit with the 2 hands thing right there. Regardless, though, the Lady Noble Pokemon could also totally be in that, but it could just be a separate Pokemon entirely. But it fits nonetheless either way with that math, if this is an Ursaring evolution. Because we have already seen regular Ursaring. The reason that I saw a lot of people discredit that initially was because of the fact that we saw, I think it was an Alpha form is what they're calling it for the Ursaring. However, this could totally just be the fact that Ursaring might just be the early game part of that, and it's like an early game boss, and then the form is like a later thing that we see, which wouldn't be necessarily the most out there thing either, because they obviously do have to have some sort of Pokemon for the early game, I guess, is the best way to put it. So maybe the Ursaring is the Alpha form early on, and then you find the later form Alpha later on. I wouldn't be too shocked by that, but again, it could just be some other bear Pokemon, maybe that someone else is referring to, but I think this kind of does mention that it's specifically Ursaring. Regardless, though, as I did mention, I was going to put everything at the end. So my final predictions for everything are, number 1 is referring to a Water Ghost Samurott with Glaciate as the ability. And I specifically think the ability because of the ice reference for this yokai. Number 2 has to be HISUIAN Zoroark. It's already been confirmed. Number 3, I don't know what the Pokemon will be. It seems like it's a separate Pokemon entirely, a completely new thing. My guess is, though, it is a Fairy Flying typing. Number 4, it seems to be HISUIAN Voltorb. It seems pretty confirmed for that. It seems like the Riddler also confirmed that. My guess is it's a pure grass typing. If not, maybe it's dual type with rock or steel. If not, maybe a pure rock or a pure steel type. But I think the most likely is grass because it's made of wood, and wood reference like trees, which is life and all that. Number 5, I'm predicting to be a HISUIAN Lilligant form, water grass or water bug. I think it's going to extend to Petalil as well. Number 6 is a Decidueye HISUIAN form, or at the very least a Decidueye split Evo from Dartrix that is going to be grass fighting. I think this is pretty confirmed. I would say besides Zoroark, I have the most money on this. Number 7 is the Pseudo HISUIAN evolution specifically. It's either going to be pure rock or not pure rock, either pure rock or rock ground. Number 8 is going to be the HISUIAN Magcargo, which I think will extend to Slugma as well. I can't really see a world where the pure Slugma would not extend to that unless it is a Fire Steel typing. Number 9, I think by process elimination starter-wise, has to be HISUIAN Typhlosion. My prediction is Fire Fairy. However, like the Eclipse Sorter was quoting for Ball Guy, I could see Fire Ghost maybe being a possibility here, but I think it's primarily going to be Fire Fairy. And that is partially because of the fact that I'm hoping for it. Number 10, I think will be Avalugg, and I think it's going to be Steel Ice. We've already seen Mantine, so I can't really see why it wouldn't be. Number 11, I think will be the Psychic type Sneasel with either Fighting, Rock, Ice, or Steel. Most likely in order Steel, Fighting, Rock, Ice for my predictions for that second typing. But I think it will be Psychic for the primary. And then number 12 seems to be HISUIAN Ursaring Evolution. I don't actually know if I even believe this or not. But regardless, though, I don't have a better prediction, to be fair. And with the hint, I mean, it's really the only thing I think of that it could hint at. My guess is this will be pure normal, maybe normal fighting. But regardless, so I think it will include the normal typing regardless. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like below. Let me know your guys' predictions on the riddles and what you think maybe they could be regardless down below in the comments. I would love to see them. We can go back in this video, and maybe if we get enough comments, I can react to it when we do get the actual, like, all 12 of these are solved canonically in the games. So hopefully you guys did enjoy that, and hopefully you guys are looking forward to new stuff in the future for Legends Arceus and general Pokemon content. With that said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys.